I've traveled to the planet Earth to understand a concept you call an empire. Someone told me to seek out the wisdom of Abby Martin. Who is this? Abby Martin is a political journalist who advocates for groups she considers oppressed by the American empire, which is basically every foreigner but the British. It's like, hey, we're gonna enslave the whole world, except for the people who enslaved us. What does an empire mean? Well, the textbook definition is a sovereign state functioning as an aggregate of nations ruled over by an emperor or king. But, as Abby Martin and her guests point out, it really comes down to violence. You can't use voluntary methods to get land for an empire. Would you like to be assimilated by the Borg? We'll give you an IMF loan. But the United States hides its empire in a variety of different ways, using different contexts and excuses to justify intervention. If the US trained the Emperor from Star Wars, he would have said, "I'm only taking power to stop Russian interference in our elections." Since Abby Martin is the resistance, she's like a real-life Princess Leia. Her Patreon page might as well say,
"Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope."
Second, the US disguises coups that it orchestrates as local uprisings, then has shadow influence over the new dictator. How do they disguise it? Wouldn't this be somewhat obvious? You'd think so, but to most Americans, their only exposure to foreigners is the mall food court. Hey, is that a free sample? Wow, what is that, Thai? We should let your people live. Because most Americans have no exposure to actual foreigners, their only source for this information is the Western media, which presents a totally false image. For example, in Venezuela, most Americans think that the poor and helpless are Maduro's opposition, but in fact the opposite is true. It's Maduro's core support that is the truly poor and helpless of the country, while as the opposition is well funded by foreigners. Welcome back to the mainstream American news. We go live to Venezuela, where we interview opposition protesters. Eres un nativo local. ¿Cómo se te sientes acerca de tu país? Yes, I am a local Venezuelan, and I say we gotta be more like America. God bless Trump. Then, for example, in Ukraine, the United States media told us that the Ukrainians were protesting because they wanted to be more influenced by the West. But we know from leaked audio recordings that the United States officials had picked the entire Ukrainian leadership prior to the coup happening. We want the basic American human rights, like American Idol. You will not let us pick our politicians, so at least let us pick the musicians. Where else does the media leave out information that might mold your opinion? Even the map of America keeps off the colonies like American Samoa and Guantanamo Bay. Come on, that's the last thing you want a kid in social studies class to ask questions about. For questioning authority, you have to go into the corner for a timeout. Do you not see the irony in imprisoning me in timeout for asking about Guantanamo Bay? And what if I don't cooperate? We got another one. Get the bucket. Abby Martin interviewed Daniel Immerwahr, author of the book How to Hide an Empire, in which he talks about how the US colonies are purposely kept off the United States map to draw attention away from them. So most people don't think about them when they have nationalistic feelings. I die for American soil. Would you die for dirt from Guam? What a coincidence! That's how we acquired Guam! Separate interview, Abby Martin interviewed David Vine, author of Base Nation, in which he talked about how, although the United States has 686 bases that the Pentagon admits to overseas, there are many more called lily pads, in which the Pentagon will not reveal the location of. Now, if you type lily pad into Google, you get Nympha, I can't even pronounce it. I guess just like the American bases, you don't know shit about them. Maybe like a nymph, they're only innocent in mythology. Are Americans the only humans on your planet that engage in violence for land? Nope, Israel does it also, with American weapons. I guess that's their only excuse to the UN. Hey, we were just following the manufacturer's instructions. Okay, take it out of the box and shoot. Hey, does it say to aim? Nope, just shoot. Now some may wonder if I'm being anti-Semitic, and the truth is, I do hate the Jews. Because I went to Hebrew school for 9 years. They didn't ask me if I wanted to be Jewish before they circumcised me. Come on, that's the most sensitive part for sex. They took so much from me, you'd think my dick was Palestine. I find humans bizarre. Are there any other traditions in the Jewish religion that don't make sense to you? One rule I always questioned in Hebrew school is that God said you must cover your head at all times, and that's why Jews wear the yarmulke. But nothing covers less of your head than the yarmulke. It's like the thong of headgear. But on the other hand, when it comes to the Holy Land, Jews want to cover every square inch. Maybe that's why Palestinians get so little land. They treat UN resolutions just like covering their head. Gaza Strip is like Israel's thong. Unfortunately, we must end this transmission, but where can I find more about this human? Abby Martin has a show on YouTube called The Empire Files, where she travels firsthand to places like the Gaza Strip or Venezuela to give you firsthand knowledge of what's actually going on the ground. I've linked her show in the description. You cannot resist the power of the dark side. But before you kill me, would you like to try my tea and crumpets? Oh shit, you're British? We're gonna enslave everybody but the British. Cheerio. What the f***? These tea and crumpets suck. Well, my birth origin is British, but I was raised in Guam. You're from Guam?